Our country is dealing with four crises: a health pandemic, an economic recession, a reckoning with racism, and a climate emergency, all made worse by President Trump. And now the president is not just shattering democratic norms, but he's putting the very existence of American democracy on the line, creating the most existential of crises by threatening to reject the peaceful transfer of power if he loses the November election.
Well, we're going to have to see what happens.
And by ramming a nomination for the Supreme Court in defiance of popular will and precedent. Elections always matter, but this is the most consequential election of our lifetime. That is why, starting September 30th, even in the midst of this pandemic, we are launching the AFT Votes Bus, going west to east and north to south, now until November 3rd, to get out the vote. We'll be wearing masks and social distancing, and of course getting tested to ensure everyone is safe. We'll be talking to our colleagues, our friends and families, and others in our communities about the stakes in this election and about the choices. And we'll be urging people to use their vote, use their voice, and make a difference by voting, either in person or by mail, because every American's well-being and every American's future, as well as our democracy, depend on the outcome of this election. Elections are always about choices, but this election is about who will help solve the issues that keep us up at night: healthcare, decent wages, decent jobs, and our kids' education, their future and our future. This election is about the values we believe in, that everyone has a path towards a better future, that justice and dignity are guaranteed to all, and that everyone enjoys the freedom and opportunity that is the promise of America. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need to confront the multiple crises we face and to help build a fairer and a more just America. To fight COVID, not deny it, so Americans can safely proceed with our lives. To strengthen public schools, not defund them. To guarantee health care, not potentially lose it, as Trump's Supreme Court nominee has made clear is her leaning if she is confirmed. To act urgently to combat climate crisis and to rebuild our economy so working families have a shot to get ahead in good union jobs. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need to safeguard the right to vote and to protect our core values. They understand that justice and freedom must apply to all. In contrast, Donald Trump thrives on creating chaos, confusion, and division, pitting Americans against Americans. He wants to create an alternate reality, that COVID will disappear, that protesters are burning down cities in so-called anarchist jurisdictions, like New York City. None of this is true. Trust me, I live in New York City. Donald Trump is doing everything he can to make it harder and harder for people to vote. He is casting doubt on the integrity of this election, lying and promoting conspiracy theories, trying to justify why he should remain in office if he loses. But lose he must. Trump has failed to confront the issues Americans need a president to address. He didn't mount a federal response that could have controlled the spread of the coronavirus, as other countries have. He didn't even tell the truth about it. And now, over 7 million people have been infected with COVID, and more than 200,000 have died. And COVID rates are increasing again. Rather than finding the resources and providing guidance to schools based on science so that they could reopen safely, he demanded that schools reopen without the resources they needed and without a plan in place. Indeed, we now know that he consciously tried to undermine the CDC so that they would weaken their rules around children and schools. So what has happened? We have a piecemeal, patchwork approach where anxiety roils every parent and every teacher. The president is trying to strip healthcare from millions of Americans during a pandemic and to eliminate protections from the 140 Americans with pre-existing conditions, including everyone who has tested positive for coronavirus. President Trump is holding our democracy hostage by rushing this Supreme Court appointment that will put healthcare, labor, voting, and so many other rights at risk. He's fanning the flames of hate and doing nothing to address the pain, trauma, and fear so many Black Americans experience every day. Donald Trump didn't simply change the tax code to benefit the rich in 2017. Again, we now know what has happened. Why, unlike any other modern president, he refused to disclose his taxes. Why? Because in 11 of the last 18 years, he paid nothing. And when he did pay his taxes, it was $750. This rich billionaire, paying far less in taxes than any educator, any firefighter, any nurse, any public employee, any of us know, including any of us. I am a student of history, and today I see hallmarks of very dangerous times. Donald Trump is not only laying the groundwork to contest the election results, he's signaling to his supporters not to accept the results unless he is declared the winner. All of it right from the authoritarian playbook. He's calling for his supporters and for law enforcement to patrol polling places and to suppress the vote. Tactics historically used to scare voters of color. We confront all of this by voting early, in person if you can, by voting on election day, or by voting by mail. As I said, elections are about choices. To create real change, we must elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and a Democratic Senate and help maintain a Democratic House of Representatives. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will fight for working families. They will be in our corner. They will lead with character and confidence, strength, with science, compassion, and justice. They will heal and unite the country. They will deal with the crises confronting our country head on, making a better America for all of us. 2020 has brought no shortage of suffering and loss. But the 2020 election is also the opportunity to change course. We can elect Biden and Harris. We can elect a majority in the Senate and the House of Representatives that put working families and their well-being first. We can do the same up and down the ballot. Working people have always acted collectively to create change on the streets and at the ballot box. We need your voice and your activism to save our democracy, to ensure justice for all, and to create a better path for all working families and all Americans. Please vote, and vote early if you can. Urge your family and your friends to vote. And visit aftvotes.org to find more ways to get involved. I can't wait to see you in person rather than on Zoom. Hopefully, I'll meet up with all of you on the 30 days that we're in the bus or on the Visibility Saturdays as we march through and roll through America in the coming days. Thank you, and please be safe.